Welcome guys, today we'll be doing January 2020 CSEC Mathematics Question 8. Let's get started. Here we're going to solve a pair of simultaneous equations. If you realize with this, I have a square, so this will be the quadratic form, while this is the linear. When we have one being quadratic and one being linear, it means we're going to use the substitution method. So once we're having it being in the simple form, I usually say to my students, doesn't have any x, y, or x square, no squares on it. So we don't have an x, y, or x square. It's just simply in the form where I'm seeing x and y being separated. So this is considered to be the linear form. And this will be the quadratic since the y has a square. Let me label this as equation 1 and the second as equation 2. Once we have one being linear and one being quadratic, we are going to use the substitution method and we're going to substitute the linear into the quadratic. Now for the quadratic form, this is my x. So I'll substitute for x 5 minus 3y. So rewriting this line, I have y squared plus 2y plus 11 is equal to x, but in this case, our x is 5 minus 3y. This is saying x is equal to 5 minus 3y. So in other words, this variable, I can replace it with all of this that I have here. So I have 5 minus 3y. So once again, I am substituting equation 1 into equation 2, so replacing the variable x with 5 minus 3y. So all of this being replaced with 5 minus 3y. Now, after replacing it, I am going to carry the 5 and the minus 3 over the equal sign. So I'm getting everything on the left-hand side. So doing this, what will I have? Let me go ahead and write my y squared plus 2y. Now, the minus 3y, we're going to carry it over the equal sign, so it will become positive. So we're going to have plus 3y. So if you realize this minus 3y, I could have put the plus 3y here, but because this is a 2y, why not go ahead and group it together? So I carry over the minus 3y over the equal sign, and since this is 2y, I group the minus coming over, become positive, so I have 2y plus 3y. Then I'm going to rewrite this plus 11, so I have plus 11. Now this 5, we're also carrying it over, so it becomes minus 5 equal 0. I repeat, carrying both of these over the equal sign, but since this is minus 3y and this is a 2y, when this is carried over the equal sign, the sign changes from a negative to a positive. And as you can see, I've grouped them together. Same case with a 5. I carry over the 5, so it becomes minus 5. So now I can simplify this. When you're adding, this is algebra, so we add the coefficient of y and rewrite the y. So 2 plus 3, that will give me 5. So I have y squared plus 2 plus 3, that's 5. Then I rewrite my y. Then 11 take away 5, that will give me plus 6 is equal to 0. We are going to factorize this. If it can be factorized, it will assist us in solving because we want to know the value of y. Now we could use a quadratic formula, but why not try to see if it can be factorized? we need two numbers that multiply to give me 6, but add to give me 5. So two numbers that multiply to give me 6, but add to give me positive 5. So those two numbers are positive 2 and positive 3. Why is that so? Because 2 times 3, that gives me 6, and 2 plus 3, that gives me 5. Now I'm going to replace the center. So I have y squared plus 2y plus 3y plus 6 equal 0. So we replace the center with the factors and we attach a y to it. We haven't changed what the center is saying because 2y plus 3y gives us 5y. Now grouping, in the first bracket, we look at what can we factor out. We can factor out a y, and what is left? Y plus 2. If somebody's wondering, how is it that I got y plus 2? Remember, y squared means y times y. Factoring out means I factor out one of the y's, so it's no longer y squared. It means it just remains y. Also, I factor out this y, so this is on the outside. So I'm just left with the 2. Remember, we can check our answers by multiplying y times y, that gives me the y squared above, and then y times 2, that gives me 2y. On this side, we can factor out a 3. So factoring out a positive 3, what is left? Remember, I factor out this 3, so this is no longer there, so all I have is a y. And I factor out a 3 from here, so that means I'm left with a 2. Once again, we can check our answer by multiplying 3 times y, that's 3y, and 3 times 2, that gives me 6. So we have y plus 3 and then y plus 2. So we equate each of the brackets to be equal to 0. So y plus 3 is equal to 0 and y plus 2 is equal to 0. So carrying the plus 3 over the equal sign, there's a sign change. So y is equal to negative 3. And same case here, carry the plus 2 over the equal sign. So y is equal to minus 2. Now we also have to find out what is x. So we go to the linear function where x is equal to 5 minus 3y. It's coming from this that was given. So I'm going to replace when y is equal to negative 3. So I'll have x is equal to 5 minus 3, open bracket, minus 3. So it's 5 minus 3 times minus 3, that's positive 9. So 5 plus 9, that's 14. So here we have x is 14 and y is minus 3. Also, when y is equal to negative 2, replace for x. So we have 5 minus 3, open bracket, negative 2. So we have 5 over minus 3 times minus 2, that's positive 6. So 5 plus 6, that's 11. So x is 11 and y is minus 2. The function f is defined as follows: for x squared minus 8x minus 2, expressed in the form a, open bracket, x plus h all squared plus k, where a, h, and k are constant. The first method that I'll be doing is factoring out the 4, but before I do that, I'll have 4x squared minus 8x minus 2. Now I'll be factoring out 4. So I have x squared minus, divide 8 by 4. So that will be minus 2x. And divide 2 by 4. 2 into 2 goes 1 time, 2 into 4 goes 2 times, so I will have a half. I repeat, factoring out the 4, so we have this being removed, so that's why there's nothing here. You can always divide this by 4 if you want to find out what's left. So that's what I did here, which is factoring out the 4. When you factor out the 4, remember you multiply, you'd have gotten what we have above. So 4 times x squared, that gives you 4x squared, and 4 times minus 2x gives me the minus 8x, and 4 times minus a half, that will give me minus 2. It's like saying half of 4 is 2. So after factoring out the 4, we say we need plus or minus half the coefficient of x. So we have 4 open bracket x squared minus 2x, then plus, we're going to find half of negative 2. Just think about it. Plus or minus half the coefficient of x. The coefficient of x is minus 2. What is half of 2? 1, but because this is negative, we'll have negative 1, and I'll square it, then I have minus, then a negative 1, square it, minus a half. I repeat, we find half of the coefficient of x. So if you think of what is half of this number, half of 2 is 1. Or you just multiply this by a half. So we just say half of this number. Split 2 in 2 halves, it gives you 1. But because of the sign that's here, that's why I have minus 1. So it's plus minus 1 all square, subtraction, then minus 1 all square. So in other words, if it was positive 2 here, then I would find half of positive 2, that would be 1. So I'd have plus, this would be a positive 1 all square, minus positive 1 all square. Now, this part will become a quadratic where it becomes all square. So I'm going to have 4 open brackets, put a square bracket, and the part that I have underlined will become x minus 1 all squared. Now if we expand this, it will give us the above. Then we have minus negative 1 squared, that's 1, minus a half. Now 4 open bracket, then I have x minus 1 square, no, minus 1 minus a half. It's like saying 1 plus a half, that's 1.5. So even if it's 2 negative, it will be negative 1.5. But negative 1.5 is the same thing as minus 3 over 2. Now minus 3 over 2, you say 1 times 2, that's 2 plus 1, that gives me 3. So that's minus 3 over 2. So this is the same as minus 3 over 2. So I have minus 3 over 2. Now, if you're still not certain how I got minus 3 over 2, that's okay. Let me show you another way that we can look at this. We can find the LCM. So the LCM, put this over 1, and the LCM for 1 and 2 is 2. 1 into 2 goes 2 times, so 2 times the negative 1 gives you minus 2. 2 into 2 goes 1 times, and 1 times negative 1, that's minus 1. And minus 2 minus 1 gives us negative 3 over 2. So that's another way we can get it. The last thing is just to distribute this 4, multiplying each of these by 4. So what I have here is 4, open bracket, x minus 1, all square, and then multiplying 4 times negative 3 over 2. 4 times minus 3 over 2. 2 into 4 goes 2 times, and 2 times negative 3, that's minus 6. And that's it. But now we're going to take the coefficient of x squared, that's a, so a is 4. The coefficient of x, that is b, which is negative 8. And the constant represents c, which is negative 2. So what we're going to do, we're going to find what is h. We already have a. We can find h. We can find h. H is equal to b over 2a. So what we're going to do is substitute what is b. B is minus 8. And a is 4. So I have minus 8 over 2, 4 is 8. And calculating this will be negative 1. So we're going to use the formula 4ac minus b squared all over 4a. So substituting what is a is 4, c is minus 2, and b is negative 8. And we square this all over 4 times a, and a is 4. Now multiplying 4 is 16 times minus 2, that's negative 32, minus 8 squared, that's 64, over 4 is 16. So minus 32 minus 64, that's 96. So we have minus 96 over 16. So dividing this, we will have negative 6. Now, I'll put the answer here. We need to write it in this form. A open bracket x plus h all squared. So this is another method using a formula without using the first method that I had done. So a is 4, h is minus 1, so I'll have minus 1 here, and k is minus 6. And that's it. Now the next part asks to state the minimum value. So the minimum value here is a k value, so that means we'll write it as y equal negative 6. So that's the y value in the turning point. The axis of symmetry is where we equate the x minus 1 that I have here to be equal to 0. So I have x minus 1 to be equal to 0. Then we carry this over the equal sign, so x is equal to 1. So the axis of symmetry is x is equal to 1. Now the speed time graph below, not drawn to scale, shows the 3-stage journey of a car over a period of 40 seconds. Now, looking at this, we have stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. On the x-axis, it's in terms of seconds, while the y-axis is meters per second. Here we're going to determine the acceleration of the car for each of the following stages of the journey. For stage 2, as we can see, this is a horizontal line. When we have a horizontal line, there's no change in speed. As we can see, when between 16 seconds to 32 seconds, it is a constant speed. So when we have a constant speed, the acceleration is equal to 0. For stage 3, we want the acceleration where we're decreasing, we're decelerating really. So it means it should be negative. Now, To find out the acceleration, it's a change in speed over the change in time. Now, what is a change in time? We'll find the difference between 40 and 32. So 40 minus 32, we can write out that information, or you can go ahead and say 40 minus 32 seconds will give us 8 seconds. So that's a change in time. The change in speed, as you can see, we have starts at 12 and it decreases and goes to 0. So therefore it is 0 minus 12 meters per second. So that means in the numerator I will have minus 12 meters per second, and in the denominator we'll have 8 seconds. So dividing minus 12 by 8, this will give us negative 1.5, and the unit will be meters per second squared. And that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. And if you have more questions, you can leave a comment below. Have a great day.